All right. Boogie on, people.
I see you shaking.
Yeah,
you know.
let's boogie into something innovative now. Let's talk about IT.
ICT.
This one is called One Innovative Hub. And it's an ICT hub established by the Offa Descendants Union, ODU. Offa is in Kwara State, by the way. It's a component of a 5-zone multi-sectorial industrial park that would also cater for entrepreneurs of creative industry ventures and those who process agricultural, solid mineral, and polymer-based products, among others. Well, we have the brains behind the hub with us in the studio this morning. It's my pleasure to welcome the chairman of the Economic Development Committee of our Descendants Union, Dr. Waheed Olagunju.
Thank you very much.
He used to be one of us, you know. The one that got away, that's him. We also have 2 engineers who's come along with him. Engineer Taufik Olatinwo, who is the coordinator, One Innovation Hub. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We also have Engineer Jide Olatunde, who is the Chief Operating Officer, One Innovation Hub.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Well, I was privileged to see the footage of the launch on the news, and I was wondering, so what prompted this whole idea? And in faraway Offa?
Not far away. Offa is just 2 hours from Lagos.
Okay,
Or
all right.
2 hours from Abuja.
Okay.
2 hours from
Yes.
Lagos?
You fly to Ilorin, 45 minutes either from Abuja or Lagos, and then Ilorin to Offa is about an hour.
Okay. All
And
right.
by road, it's about 4 hours from Lagos.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what prompted
You
the
see, we
idea
had
in
the
Offa?
first of our economic summit in June 2019. And that was when we felt, look, we need to hold our destiny in our hands. The major facilitators of the development process in all jurisdictions are mainly the government, the private sector, international development partners, and community-based organizations. There is no way the government can do everything. And the best approach is also participatory, where you involve everybody, the participatory development process. Therefore, you need to go back to the communities. And of our descendants unions is one of the oldest and dynamic community development unions in Nigeria, set up in the 20th century. And the biggest achievement before now was setting up the Offa Grammar School in 1943, because we always believed that knowledge, capacity building, human capital is very, very important in whatever it is you want to do. So Offa has always been a center of learning. And talking about OGS, many Nigerians, prominent Nigerians, the current Emir of Ilorin went to OGS, Obalade Ladashore, late now, renowned banker, General Anakinade, General David Jembewo, and then we now have Adesoye College that produced our Olu of Wari.
Thank you very much.
I thought I could rub that in.
You scored.
Yes, yeah, exactly. He went and you
Yes.
see how he spoke. And there was a delegation from Offa in Wari actually during the inauguration. You were also there.
Oh,
you
yes.
saw them. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. So and he's from Offa Grammar School as well. Africa Latin War.
That's right.
So, but you see, the curricula in the 20th century was designed for the third industrial revolution, producing human capital to work in private companies, to work in government. But now, we're in the 21st century, knowledge-based economy, knowledge-driven economy. New skills are required to navigate the world of today. Right? So, under the fourth industrial revolution, you require new skills, mainly digital skills. So that's why we felt we needed to come up with a blueprint. So we have a 10-year economic blueprint for Offa, which we are going to be implementing in phases. That team was headed by Professor Gafari Jai of the Department of Economics, University of Ilorin. He's one of the more than 100 professors we produce in Offa, right? And they are anchored on the Sustainable Development Goals, aligned with the high fives of the ADB, and then the AU Agenda 2063 of the African Union, and many other development initiatives as such. So the idea is to ensure that we eradicate poverty in Offa and Environs over the next 10 years.
Okay, Mr. Latin, so you are the coordinator of this One Hub. Tell us who do you expect, or what's the workings of that hub?
Thank you very much. Again, good morning, and it's really exciting to be here. So when we started the journey in terms of what do we do to be able to help the youth in Offa, to reduce unemployment and even increase the economic activity in Offa. So we looked at the baseline, and we started with the survey. The survey went around to all the schools, primary, secondary, and the tertiary institutions in Offa, and we came up with about total of about 100 schools put together, and the Environs making about 200. Then we looked at the population of the students. We've got about 200,000, youth students, coming together, and we said if there's any break in, the academic process, what do? They just go home and they cause social problems. And we said, how do we fill the gap? Then we started discussing with about how do we build an innovation hub to help them upskill themselves in terms of digital economy and to be able to, add to the economy of its environs and the state, as well as the entire nation. So we started talking to the principal of schools and also the provost of, the polytechnics and also some of the universities coming up there with their VCs. And we're beginning to have tractions around, engaging them to start using the hub so that we can have this partnership, a collaboration for them to be able to, even issue certificates, diplomas, and things like that. But what are the programs that we are running at the hub? We're going to be having the STEM program for the primary and secondary school. We're going to be having robotics. We're going to be having, artificial intelligence, all the latest technology that you can think of. How do we achieve this? We're going to be partnering with multinational enterprises, with companies like IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, and the likes. And these are the people that we are attracting to come and upskill the youth. Just before we went into launching, we did the hackathon, and we were thinking, perhaps we're not going to get people to show up or to participate. But we got 17 youth that came together, and within 5 days, they were able to build a very strong network, and they developed 5 solutions. One of the groups, they looked at cybersecurity, another looked at edu-tech, another looked at blockchain for agri-tech, another looked at the healthcare sector. So out of these, we now have startups that we're working with at the hub that will start as the foundation, and then we'll move to other programs successively like that. And that's why we've got the COO is here, who is actually the engine room for all the technologies and all the technical things that we're going to bring to bear in Offa.
Yeah, Mr. Latunde,
yes,
this seems to be only the beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. This looks like it's going to be a pretty big project.
It is a big project.
How do you intend to finance it?
Thank you so much, madam. The sustainability of the hub is actually one of the items that we've planned. We fortunately Offa has a community that we know. Is actually we do a lot of self-help. We've gotten donations and that's where we had till today, and we still want much more donations. And you could see my partner talking about partnership with multinationals, the Amazons of this world, the AWS, the Facebook of this world, so that we could deepen technology in the term. So sustainability, yes, we are looking in the long run. When you have a hub, it takes some 2-3 years before you start breaking even. But before then, we have some seed fund within ourselves that could push us to this stage, and actually we're working on breaking even in the next 2-3 years with what we put in place and the strategy, business model and strategy that we've put in place for the hub.
If I may just add to that, I'm sorry. The Offa himself, an engineer and a serial entrepreneur, donated the land, right? And then the community, the Offa Descendants Union, we levied ourselves we receive donations internally from many prominent sons and daughters of Offa, right? And then we also approach our friends in the diaspora and in the private sector. Someone like Remy O'Neill, retired ED from First Bank, wrote to a number of his friends, and they chipped in resources from Offa as well.
Okay.
You know, so Professor Yawoye, for instance, is the chairman of the Development of our Industrial Trust Fund, the first African professor of geology and pioneer chairman of Guarantee Trust Bank. And then Dr. Tunji Olagunju is also a member of the Do It Fund. Dr. Sarah Lade is a member of the Do It Fund. Dr. Awai Ibrahim is a member of the Do It Fund. So we are keeping resources. So we're able to mobilize resources from within and outside the community, and we look forward to more support for viability and sustainability.
Okay. Let me return to Mr. Olatunde.
Yeah.
What does this hub consist of?
Okay, thank you.
What can we find there?
Yeah, so we have a robotics lab where we could train our interns and participants in robotics. We have a co-work space where you come in the morning, you use the space as your office address, you have fast...
Free of charge?
Paid, but very good rate. You know, these are things that you get in Lagos.
Okay.
But we're bringing it to the interland. We want our people to have the same kind of resume with people in Lagos, sitting in Lagos, the same experience, the same add-on your CV when you graduate from the university. So we have a workspace, and we'll be having training. We have a state-of-the-art training room. We have optic fiber from one of the best operators in Nigeria to that hub. So the speed of the internet is out of this world. It's just like sitting in the US and staying in Offa. So when you sit in our hub, it's as good as you're sitting in anywhere in New York or you're sitting in Atlanta or something. I'm telling you, we have that speed, and that's it. So you come to the hub, you feel as if you're working in a corporate environment. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to let the people around Offa know, okay, this is the work setting you get anywhere in the world. You could work from Offa where the standard of living is actually very low, and startups can actually come there. You do remote. There are a lot of Nigerian youth, and that's one thing that we have in the country today. Thousands of Nigerian youth are doing remote jobs abroad now. And this is the way to enhance our FDI in Nigeria. People are bringing money. You see all these youths carrying their bags, working in buses. They're actually doing lots of, and software development in Nigeria is the hinting.
Yes,
we do not have enough engineers.
Yes, it is.
And that's what
what has the reception been in the neighborhood?
Well, he meant that the cost of living is low in Offa. The standard of living is not low. A lot of people...
He said cost, not standard.
Cost, exactly. Cost, okay, good. So it's been highly impressive. And you needed to have been there at the commissioning ceremony. Even before the commissioning ceremony, we have a radio station, or KFM. And prior to that, we had sensitization programs on a weekly basis. And the phone-in, they've been highly appreciative. They've been encouraged. And on the commissioning itself, the place was jam-packed. We had more than 500 people who turned up on that day. And ever since then, the reception has been impressive. We have a lot of techpreneurs who are currently in Lagos, but who are thinking of relocating from Lagos to other parts of the country because of the congestion and the serenity and the tranquility.
And the cost of living.
The cost of living is very low. And we have a test case which is successful. The Technology Incubation Center, owned by the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, is reputed to be one of the best, if not the best in the country. And we've been able to attract tenants from across the country. Some ladies who produce spices in some distressed part of the country, conflict zones, have relocated to Offa, and they are doing quite well. Somebody produces shea butter, another person produces shoes, and they export from there. So has always been a very, very hospitable place. The people are nice, they are accommodating. Like all those who went to all those schools, I mean, they wouldn't have schooled enough or stayed enough if the place was not habitable. So the reception has been quite impressive.
Okay. Mr. Latin, let's talk more about the programs at the hub.
Right.
So is it for someone who has finished secondary school or who has finished university or who is currently a student? Tell us more about that.
Thank you very much. A very beautiful question. Actually, it's for everybody. Right from people that are just getting into primary school all the way to even grandmas and grandpas. And the reason I'm saying that is I'm going to use the example of animation. So we've got elderly people that are able to tell the story of, the history of, let's say, Offa as an example, and that's, available everywhere in the country. And they're going to sit down and be telling stories. I'm going to have all these youth, rather than spending their time jumping around, playing on the street, they can sit down and use the technology of animation to transcribe or transform this story into something that they can now put as products that they take into the market. And the products will be available not just on their laptop, but it's going to be available on their mobile phones as well. So imagine we have the story of the Echo of Echo, and we can look at how people put it together that's going to be marketed everywhere in the world. See what's going on with like Pokemon and the likes. We can have such things in Nigeria as well. Yeah. So that's just an example. Now, the other thing we found out is we've got some guys, when we did the hackathon, they're actually providing services to people in the US in terms of cybersecurity, and they call themselves ethical hackers. Now, what they do is they don't have products, they just do the brute kind of force, try and error kind of thing, and they're being paid peanuts, while those guys in the US, they transform their, all their ideas into products that they sell. We're now trying to groom them to say, come to us, we're going to help you to, get your ideas into products that will be marketable worldwide. That's another set of guys. But for those in primary school and secondary school, we're using the STEM program. We're adding arts into it, so it's called STEAM. So that's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And these are the things that we want to make as the foundation. So we've identified 3 key phases for our journey, for the 10 years that Dr. Olagunju mentioned. The first 2 years will be the developmental phase, where we're going to be entrenching, the understanding of STEM environments within Offa, and you have the foundation for all of them to have this common knowledge and understanding of how to use the system and how to respond to things. Then the second phase, which is going to span for about 5 years, will be like the incubation. So for the first phase, we're looking at doing at least 60,000 participants. The second one is to be able to incubate about 25,000 startups at the hub. And the third one, which is going to be the acceleration, is to be able to accelerate at least 2,500 from the hub in the next 10 years. So that's the kind of goal that we have. That's the strategy we have, and that's what we're working towards. We hope we're going to be able to surpass that. That's the minimum we want to achieve.
Mr. Latunde, let me talk to me about the robotics department that you have.
Yeah, so the robotics is actually one. I know you've heard about mechatronics, part of electrical engineering.
What are mechatronics?
Yeah, when you process mechanical items with electrical system, embedded system, for it to work on its own automatically. Okay. So we have designs, we have a lab where we have designs, where we have Legos, for short, where people can actually program these Legos and develop a software to make a Lego, maybe a tractor Lego or human Lego to work, to come alive. Yes. And that's what we have at the moment. We have an experience center built on the lab, and exactly what we want to start with the primary school students in our primary and secondary school. It will be mainly part of our STEM, because we want to enhance our ecosystem in Offa. We want a disruption, technological disruption in the ecosystem, so that every kid walking around the street in Offa will know there is something called robotics, there is something called software development, there is something called Scratch or HAP simulator, let them start imbibing those terminologies and specifications and exactly what we want to do.
Now, when you talk about training primary school kids,
Yes.
how do you intend to do that? Are you going to bring them to the hub, or is the hub going to go to them in their various schools?
Thank you so much. So there are two ways to it. So we are having volunteers that we will run the STEM initiative with you. I'm very sure you know the STEM now with the hats now. So we will have volunteers. We have a trainer session where we will have delegates going to primary school, train them, give them the tools, give them the processes. Then from batch by batch, we'll send those kids to the hub to see what is happening in the hub. We'll do practical hands-on sections for them in the hub also, so that they would be able to have real hands-on design in robotics and other courses they would have in their schools. So it's a two-way thing. We go to the school, then they come to the hub also. Just like when we were young, that we go for home practical or food practical in some centers outside our primary or secondary schools. Exactly what we want to do for these kids.
If I could just build on that as well. So we are working together with the headmasters and the principals of these schools to start ICT clubs in their schools. And these clubs will be working very closely with us at the hub. Just to
I was going to ask Dr. Laguju about that. So the Descendants Union, what role are they playing in this? So that the information, I understand this hub is in Offa, but there are other interlands. How would they get that information to the very, very remote areas, so that whether you are in Offa or in Omwaron, you know that there's something going on?
Yes, Offa Descendants Union is an international organization. We have members in North America, in Europe, in other parts of the world, and indeed other parts of Nigeria. And we have several platforms. So we have intra-communication channels of sending messages across to one another. And the hub will be, the operations will be hybrid. You don't have to be there in person. You could also, benefit from the hub electronically. Online, exactly, by linking up with the facilitators at the hub. So that's one of the things that COVID has taught us, that we can do a lot of things on a hybrid basis. So we're going to leverage on that a lot. And the union, we have children, and we're initiating our children too into the developmental process. When we have programs, the children also participate, like the for Descendants in North Africa, they have their annual general session, annual gatherings. I was invited, I participated online. And their children also made presentations online from all over the world, and it was quite exciting. So we have a vibrant communication system within the Offa Descendants Union. And then, of course, we relate with unions in other communities as well, like the unions in the Gosu, the unions in Ira, the unions in the Omwaron, in Oro, and other places. So basically, that's why we call it Offa and Environs. And almost all these communities have their unions as well. So we interact and relate with them.
Mr. Olatunde, so you are the CEO. Let's talk about the financial aspect. So if a child wants to be part of, the hub, what will it take?
Oh, yes. So for the STEM initiative, it's actually free for primary and secondary school kids. What we paid for is trainings in the hub and using the hub as co-work space. Those are the activities that you need to pay for. But for the STEM initiative, Offa Descendants Union is funding that 100% for public primary and secondary school. So for financials, for the hub, the fees, we've decided anyway, it's somewhere on our website. It won't be neck-breaking, because we want as many as possible people to use the hub. And it would actually be something that people in Offa and Environs can actually afford.
What's the website, please?
OneInnovationHub.com.
OneInnovationHub.com. Just all together. OneInnovationHub.com. Yeah.
Hub.com.
ONE.
Yeah.
Innovationhub.com.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly, for perhaps some people who just joined us, you mentioned some of the programs earlier. You want to quickly repeat them?
So what we've got there is we have the robotics, we have the artificial intelligence, we have the IoT, that's Internet of Things. We have all the training along the line of the new technologies,
software development.
Technologies. So we've got the incubation of startups and the acceleration of the startups as well. So as we speak, we've got 5 startups of 17 people that are already using the hub. We have the co-working space, so people can come in and use the space on daily basis or monthly. And then we've also got the conference center where people can come in and have their meetings and the like. So it's a kind of multi-purpose environment for everybody, right from the youth or even to the very elderly people as well. So these are the key things that we've got. And we're looking at being able to collaborate and partner with the government. Of course, we're from the community, so the community is the first thing. So we have the public, the private, we've got the educational institutions, then we've got also the multinational enterprises and other donors that would like to come on board. We've got the package for sponsorship, talking about if we want to train people, if you want to train like 1 or 5 people or even 10 or 20 or 100, we've got all these categories so that people can come in and say, I want to train people from my community or from my local environment, and you bring them and we train them. Okay. And
Now, what does the conference center look like?
So it's a place that has got the best kind of world-class environment that can seat at least 70 people. It should be 70 to 100
with
people.
COVID-19 protocols in mind.
With COVID-19 protocols in mind, perhaps it's going to be less than that. But it's very conducive. It's got all the kind of things that you would like to have.
And full audio visual.
Yeah, the visual is there. Video conferencing is there.
Okay, Mr. Olatunde, quickly. You mentioned earlier that people can come in there and use the place as an office.
Yes.
So are there computers as a workspace? Are there computers there for them to use, or should they come along with their own laptops?
Usually, when you go to office, you come with your laptop. But yes, we have computers also. We have computers for some few people that will come in. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for coming. Offa Descendants Union. Well, should I say kudos to you?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Because it's one of the ways of achieving inclusive economic growth in Nigeria. Because you have this disparity between we normally talk about GDP, but then we should be talking mainly about the Human Development Index.
Indeed.
So that there can be inclusive economic development.
Well done, Offa Descendants Union, for this hub. And I'd like to thank you 3 gentlemen for coming to talk to us about it.
Thank you.
It's certainly an innovation, and we hope that more communities will embark on things like this to develop the people in their immediate surroundings. We can't all be in Lagos and we can't all be in Abuja.
Exactly.
Dr. Wahid Olagunju is the chairman, Economic Development Committee, Offa Descendants Union.
Thank you very much for having us.
Engineer Taufik Olatinwo is the coordinator, One Innovation Hub.
Thank you very much.
And Engineer Jide Olatunde is the Chief Operating Officer of One Innovation.
Thank you so
very much for coming. And good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation. Do stay with us.